You joined Guns N' Roses in '09. Now, as I said, I've seen you live with them. You fit really well with Guns, but did you have any hesitation in jumping into that circus?
Well, I mean, I didn't understand really what I was getting into. You know, I was, of course, a fan, you know, when I was a kid, and as everybody was. But I had just gotten off tour with Sixx AM. I got a phone call from management, and they said, hey, you know, Axl's been looking for the right guy to come in and play guitar, and they've auditioned hundreds of people. I mean, for like a year and a half on the down low, they've been looking for that guy. And I got a call and said, hey, you want to come down? And I was like, yeah, you know, I'll check it out. And didn't really think a whole lot of it, to be honest. I just thought it'd be cool to go down. And then Axl caught wind I was coming down, and he called management, said if he even shows up, he has the gig. So it was a really kind of bizarre but cool, because I didn't know he knew anything about me, and evidently, you know, he had been following my career for 10 years, he said. You know, he knew quite a bit about me. But he knows quite a bit about everybody out there. He's really up on it.
And you know, so you go in and basically you just get the gig, and now you're in one of the biggest bands in the history of music. And a guy that is an enigma in Axl Rose that takes a lot of flack in the media, I think unnecessarily so.
Yeah. You know, and the sad part is once you really get to know him, because we become super good friends over the many years, but, you know, it kind of bums me out, too, because people don't get to see, I wish they got to see the real side of him, you know, because he's actually, you know, a really nice guy, and he's always, you know, he treats the band like gold, and he buys everybody's gifts, and, I mean, he's just a good guy, and it's kind of mind-blowing that people have this big false conception of who he really is.
Yeah, Sebastian Bach said the same thing to me, that Axl's just a sweetheart of a guy, and you see glimpses of it every now and then in the media, but it's like he should just... It's okay to be a nice guy, Axl.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the whole thing with that is media can also be your enemy, and I think over the years, you know, that a lot of mainstream media will build people up like Britney Spears and Michael Jackson, and then they love to, you know, when you get to a certain height like an Axl or a Michael Jackson or those guys, there's nowhere really else to go, and I just feel like, you know, they're the same people that really just ruin your career or try to ruin your career by cutting you down, and you see it every day. And that's the saddest part. It's like the Michael Jackson thing was really sad to me, because, you know, the world turned against this guy who, you know, brought him decades of amazing music and great shows and entertained the world. And it's just sad that when he died, everybody was bagging on him, and the minute he died, everybody's like, oh my God, he's the king of pop. And it's just, you know, it's sad that he had to die to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, our media now seems to like to cannibalize our heroes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, my point is, why help build somebody up if your ultimate intention is to, you know what I mean, to bring them down? So I don't get that. When somebody gives up their entire life to entertain millions of people, it's just really sad to me, because nobody, unless you're out there entertaining and, you know, you can't shit without it being on the internet, or, you know, you're always under the watch. And it's a hard life, and it's a very lonely life, and I don't think people understand that. So it's like, for instance, we'll go play a show in front of 80,000 people, and every person in that place is jumping up and down for a solid 3 hours. And then you read the paper the next day, and it's like one guy's opinion will be like, oh yeah, Axl this or DJ this. It's kind of like, you know what? You obviously weren't at the same show, so it's kind of sad that one guy's opinion is kind of like the stamp on the entire show with 80,000 people there going nuts. So, you know, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times now in media, people they go into something, whether it's a movie or a concert, and they have an idea in their head. This is going to suck, or this is going to be bad.
Absolutely.
Or
they're a huge fan of the old band or whatever, and they're gonna write a shitty review. It doesn't matter. I mean, we could literally, you know, we could swallow dollar bills and shit a fucking, you know, and shit coins, and it wouldn't matter. Man, when it comes down to it, the fans are the only people that Axl cares about. The fans are the only people I care about. because those are the people we're performing for. Those are the people that are out there, you know, spending their hard-earned money on the albums, the T-shirts, and everything we're doing. And it's not the media guy. It's not the guy that's going to go, you know, write a shitty story for no reason. But so at the end of the day, we know the fan base has kept this band alive for 30 years, and they're the most hardcore fans out there. So they don't really even read that shit, to be honest. You know?
No, exactly.
Which is nice, you know.
And speaking of the fans, one thing that they want to know with both your bands, Guns and Sixx AM, is some new album updates. There's always rumors of a new Guns album, and I know you're working on a new Sixx AM album, so where are we on both of those?
Yeah, so Sixx AM, we're just wrapping it up. It's awesome. It's by far one of my favorite albums that we've done so far, and we're all pushing ourselves to a whole new level of insanity, I think. You know, we're like, you know what, we already did that. And let's really, if we're going to make another album, let's really push outside the lines again, like we did on Heroin Diaries, like really veer off to the right and, you know, maybe even drive off the cliffs. And so we're, you know, because Sixx AM is one of those bands where, you know, I have Guns, you know, Nikki has Motley, James produces tons and tons of great artists, and we don't rely on that band, so therefore we can, you know, it's the perfect opportunity for us to just create and be true artists. It's, you know, it's a labor of love project. And that's good. You know, we don't care if it ends up on the radio. We don't care. Obviously, I mean, not many bands put out a hit song and don't tour on it, you know, and we're not doing that on purpose. But it's one of those things where it's so personal and close to us because it is where we really get to, you know, paint outside the lines. We have a big open canvas and we're like, you know what? I don't want to paint on the canvas. I want to paint on the wall that it's hanging on. You know, so we can really go out there and really push the boundaries. And so that's what I love about doing Sixx AM. So
we should see the new Sixx AM hopefully before the end of the year?
We're trying to, yeah. That's our goal, you know, and if not, it'll be first thing, you know, of the new year. But yeah, we're really shooting for the end of the year.
And then the other band, Guns, there's always rumors of a new Guns album. Is there work being done on that, and is there kind of a plan, or is it just we'll see what happens?
There is, and it is our main focus. You know, everybody has, like Axl has tons of stuff that's already done. I've written, you know, all I can do is speak on myself. I've written 12 songs that are fully done and demoed, and it's just we've been nonstop touring for 5 years, so now, you know, we're finally taking a little bit of a break, and I think everybody's main focus is to get together, go through everything, and collectively put together what we feel is going to be the next best Guns N' Roses record.
Shifting back to Sixx AM, because you mentioned, you know, you have a hit song and you don't tour. You've never really done a proper, with the exception of maybe the Crew Fest thing, a proper Sixx AM tour.
Yeah, the Crew Fest is the only time we ever played as a band. It was like a 2-month, and since then, you know, put out 2 albums, a live album, and, you know, Life is Beautiful with #1, or, you know, Lives of the Beautiful People with #1, but we just haven't toured, you know, and our goal was, we've always talked, you know, by our 3rd record, we should do a massive tour and do it right and blah, 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 and so now there's a lot of talk about that. So I'm really excited to hopefully get out there and play some shows again.
We'll switch some gears now to some of the other things you're involved in, because there are many, as I mentioned earlier. You are the spokesperson for an anti-bullying group, Bullyville.com. How did you get involved with them?
You know, I had kind of a secret my whole life that I kind of buried way, way deep, and it was the story I told on Bullyville. James, who actually, I just bought a house here in Vegas about a year ago, and this guy walks up to my house, and I was out working on something, I can't remember, but he loved my car, the car that I designed that's coming out with West Coast, was sitting out there in the driveway, and he's like, holy shit, and blah, 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 and we got to talking, and he was telling me about this website he's going to launch, and I don't know what, but something just clicked, and I was like, fuck, you know, it's like the perfect opportunity to kind of get something off my chest. And it wasn't like I'm going to throw my dad under the bus. It's never about that. It's like, it took me, you know, a lifetime to figure out why I'm like I am. And, but there's no books out there to help people that have been abused when they're little. And And it really does affect people's lives as they grow up, and nobody's really there, especially if it's your parents. They're not there to teach you how to get over it or to realize it wasn't your fault. And, so it kind of was the perfect opportunity because I had figured things out along my life about it, and I just kind of said, you know what, if I help one person out there, then it was worth it. I don't care, and, I talked about it, I got it off my chest, and it was probably the most just cleansing thing I've ever done, and kind of and then I saw, holy shit, I'm not alone, man. There's a lot of people out there that have been bullied and abused, and it kind of makes you feel like you're not the only one, and it will be okay. And and if I can give one kid out there a little bit of hope going, wow, he plays in, two really, big bands, and he's successful, and wow, I can't believe he's having the same problems I am right now, and you know what I mean? If it gives them a little bit of hope and a light at the end of the tunnel, then I think it's well worth the humiliation of me going out and doing that.
Well, I wouldn't phrase it as humiliation, and you can see the entire story on Bullyville.com. But it is cleansing, but it also takes strength to put that out there, and I think putting that out there probably has helped more than you will ever know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess humiliation is the wrong word, but it is. I mean, that's how you feel. My whole life I felt like it was my fault. Like, what did I do? And I was never good enough to get my dad's acceptance, and it was just such a frustrating. But when you figure it out, it's not humiliating. You're right. It's something that's like, a lot of people go through. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. It's not their fault. But, when people come together, united we stand, basically, on the dollar bill. It's the same theory as that. It's like, when you're alone, it's a lot harder to fight a battle. So Bullyville is one of those places where you can come together, and really get stuff off your chest and meet people and talk to people about the same problems you may be going through. So it's a really cool website.